is going to be gorgeous. It's going to go super well.
Yay.
And we're going to have so much fun. Welcome to the latest episode of Authenticated with your host, Kate McLeod. I am intrigued by people. People watching, I love. People learning, that's where I'm insatiably curious. I'm interested in the why and how of the creative mind's pattern of thinking, the subtext to the creative thinker, or in its more conscious and malleable form, the creative conscious. Because when you are so clear on yourself via the triad of consciousnesses, then you become reflective to others. Meeting yourself is an infectious practice because what feels good is infectious and something I think we could all use a good dose of. So join me in conversations with a diverse arsenal of creative thinkers, from artists to entrepreneurs to serial thinkers ready to optimize their creative conscious. With me, self-made and self-proclaimed creative entrepreneur. Sounds hot, right? Maria Müller, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm feeling really good. It's a good day to be alive. Yeah.
Tell me.
Well, you know those like days that you just wake up and you're like, giddy about living?
Yes.
You know? And then I get a good workout in. I wash my hair. I feel fresh. I cleaned my space.
Yeah.
Which always feels like, thank God. I can like create now.
Yes.
From a good, easy, clean spot. And just, things are stressful, but not right now. They're not. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to live in that. You know what I mean?
Is today one of your off days?
It is. I do go to work a little later.
Okay.
so it's not, it's not, it's only, I teach and it's only like one class. So I almost call that an off day because it's only one class and I only do 1 hour.
Wait, so how do you make the time? Because you're a multi-hyphenate over and over, like me. You're an actor, writer, producer.
Yes.
You're also a teacher.
Yeah.
You're also the co-artistic director and co-founder of Italia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering, when you have little spurts of time for yourself, how do you actually make them matter?
Yeah, that's a great question because I feel like most times I get really like nervous about those times because I'm like, oh my God, I only have like 3 hours and they better be good.
Yep.
I better use them well. Mm-hmm. So do I use that to like wash the dishes that have been, do I use that to, again, clean my space so that I feel better after? Do I use that to go get my manicure and pedicure? Like which facet of self-care am I going to go for? Do I just stay in bed? Or do I spend time with my boyfriend? I get so in my head about it, about how to use these 3 hours in the best way. I think I've found a rhythm and like a cycle of like, okay, maybe this time around it needs to be this. This is clearly an issue that I need to take care of. Or I have to go shopping. I really am running out of something. I need to go get that. Or maybe sometimes even like allowing myself to like go to the beach, which is always, I've promised myself, I was like, this summer, I'm going to spend it more at the beach. So far, so good. I went twice.
That's really good.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe I'm going again this week. I don't want to jinx it. But, it's just like, I feel like I'm definitely working too much. And this is something that I've been on a mission to fix that and to have more time for myself, really just for myself. Not like, during this time, I'm also needing to call whoever because like we have to catch up or like I need to kind of be better at having that work-life balance.
Where does that pressure to make value of the time that is yours come from? Because you are an artist whose mission has been to make so much space for others.
Yeah.
Definitely inspired by yourself, absolutely, in your own experience. But I'm curious that when you do actually have Maria time, like, where does that pressure come from for you?
I mean, capitalism, right? Like, let's talk about that. Because I didn't realize, it was only like a few years ago that I realized the ways in which the system I'm in and the things I'm surrounded by affect the way I see and I value my time and someone else's time. Like, I think I was like, oh, surely, yes, this is bad. I'm seeing this in other people, but it doesn't affect me. Like, thankfully, guys, I'm cured. Don't worry about it. And it wasn't until, there's a few people around me that were like, so when do you do X? And I'm like, oh, no, I don't. Oh, so you should do X, right? Like just that kind of idea that, oh, like I'm allowing myself the other day. Oh my God. 2 weeks ago, I had a day off and I spent the whole day with my boyfriend, which was like, not, sometimes he has to get like afternoons or like from 10 to 12 in the morning. Yeah, exactly. And so we spent the whole day together. And at the end of the day, I was like, wow, that was awesome. And so my boyfriend was like, yeah. So actually, some people call that weekend and they have like 2 of those days every week. And I felt so like embarrassed by that because I was like, oh,
because it was like
sorry.
This newfound idea where you're like, this was really fun.
I know what could cure us is like weekends. And everyone's like, yeah. And so I think I've been on a journey of like also kind of not devaluing work, but like devaluing this idea that like I need to work all the time in order to be worthy. And, my therapist has been helping me a lot. I actually stopped therapy in January, but I feel like he was also the one to like help me a lot, kind of like understand that, oh, I don't need to be working 24/7 to be worthy, which is definitely like 2 ideas that were intertwined is like how much I work and how worthy I am.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was happening to me until I kind of realized that I also keep myself this busy. It's also because if I don't have a project, I freak out. I have to go find a project. And then like, projects come and you're like, oh, good. And then I'm in the thick of it. I'm like, ah. And the people I love are like, yeah, you're doing this to yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I've really been on the kind of path of trying to take it a little bit easier. And as I grow older also to kind of realize that I'm fine and it will be fine kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm curious because one of the things that you and I connected on first was at 18 going to school.
Yeah.
We were incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Are, just going to be stars.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Actually, we weren't going to finish school.
Yeah. Because you're going to get picked up and like put on. Right. Of course.
And so to expand identities beyond that, how much of the pressure comes from the identity having to shift and then needing to prove?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, because I come from a society in which to wear multiple hats means you don't do either of them well. Like that's kind of the idea. They're like, oh, why do you need to add this thing and this thing and this thing to the things that you do? It's because like the one thing that you do, you can't really do it well, right? And so I kind of grew up with that, kind of thinking that multi-hyphenates are like just people who can't really do one thing well, right? And so when I moved here and I met so many people who do so many things, I was like, wait, and you're doing them well. My brain was like, whoa. And so like you said, I came into school and I was like, I'm an actor, period.
Yes.
And y'all need to treat me as an actor. Like this fear that they're not going to take me seriously if I say that I'm other things, and fooling myself into thinking that I'm not interested in other things because I need to be focused on acting. Mm-hmm. Acting, and I need to take myself seriously as an actor so that other people take me seriously as an actor. And so I think it took me a while to be like, that's not true, that if you're a multi-hyphenate, you are not doing the things that you do well. That's like probably the opposite of that.
It's literally the opposite.
It's literally because all the things that I do besides acting make me a better actor. And it took me a while to kind of understand that. But it was definitely in college where like I got shaken a bit and people were like, no, you can do other things and it doesn't make you less of an actor. In fact, it makes you more of an actor. And you can write. And I'd be like, I don't write. They're like, okay, try it out. And so I did. And I was like, I wrote something. Guys, I did what to do with this. And so in college, there was a lot of teachers kind of telling us, well, in today's world, you don't really have just the actors anymore. Nobody's just an actor anymore. Not even Meryl Streep. She's probably doing other things, right? Producing, exactly. And so nobody's just an actor anymore. You're cutting opportunities if you are just like, this is my path. And and so also the idea that make your own work, right? That's a thing. And we were super encouraged to make our own work. And I was like, well, I can't make my own work if I'm just an actor. I need to learn to produce. Hence the theater company when I came out of college and all that. So nobody showed up to pick me up and take me to Apple TV and right? But I'm almost grateful that it didn't happen because I feel like I would have stunted my growth. if that happened. And I would not have discovered all these other amazing things. And I think I started off, and I think that's still true, where I write and I produce as a means to act usually. So I write myself into things most times, and I like to produce things that I'm going to be in. But I no longer find that I need to be so strict with myself because I'm no longer scared that people are not going to take me seriously. I have more proof that the opposite is true.
Do you remember the first piece of proof that proved that to you?
That's a great question. I think just the way people were referring to me as a producer. When I started the theater company, Italia, in 2019, right after I graduated, and I realized that I need to be producing to be able to act the way I wanted. We started kind of giving some interviews and we started getting the attention of the press a little bit. And I think just the way I was like introduced, that people were like, yep, this is actress Maria. She's also a producer and stuff like that. And be like, oh, one doesn't have to mean giving up the other, or like they can both be true. I had a very kind of like one lane mindset of it's only this, right? It only has to be this. And, you know, I'm trying to give myself compassion that I grew up in a society that was telling me that that was true. And so I was like, oh, people are seeing me for multiple things and they're able to hold multiple truths at the same time. I think I was also kind of not giving people credit that they can do that, that they'll be able to see me as multiple things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that tendency to underestimate the other people, to not be as nuanced as you would like, and you think that you have to simplify everything and it has to be digestible, and it just doesn't. What struck me about what you just said is you grew up in Romania. The idea there is, no, you do one thing, and if you do anything other than one thing, you're not good at that one thing. But then at the age of 18, you come to the US, you're in school in a conservatory-based program at NYU for 4 years. That's actually a very short amount of time and quite a young mind to be that adaptable that fast.
It's funny because it felt like it went like this, but while I was in it, it also felt like, oh my God, because I was learning so much. Like my brain was literally like, oh wow, my brain is expanding right now. And so all the things that I was learning and all the things that I was unlearning, maybe more importantly. And so that those felt like the time was like, you know, expanding that way, that it felt like while I was in it, those 4 years felt like 15 lifetimes. And then when I finished, I was like, oh, that actually flew by. And I was in this space where I was like, I'm done with school. I'm done with school. I want to go out into the world and see what's happening. Now, I would not want to go back to school anytime soon, but I do miss the sort of like constant everyday like poof, poof, poof of me, of my brain being like, oh, and this one and this thing and this thing, and I can do this and I can be this and all those things. And I feel like I still find that within my community and with my work and how my career is developing. But obviously, like you were saying, that's a very critical time, 18 to 22.
Yeah.
And to have all those realizations at that time was like adding to this idea that like it felt, you know, that I was evolving, I was transforming. I would literally go home after every year back to Romania for summer break, and people would like comment on it. A lot of the comments were also like mean, of like, wow, you and your American ideas, Maria, now. Or like, oh yeah, now you're a vegetarian.
Interesting.
But I could call it immediately that I was like, oh, why does this bother you so much? Like, why does my growth bother you so much? Yeah.
That's beautiful. I can relate to that similarly, not in the same vein, but because I was born in Long Beach, California, and then at 18 I came to New York, and I literally never left. But when I did go back for those little short stints, there was something different about me, and it does bother people.
Yeah.
Because it's a constant sore of like, oh, you've changed. And that's a reflection on them with their feelings on change.
Did you feel like you were taking that well? You're like, yeah, I changed. Or were you like, oh my God, what does that mean about me?
Oh, I wish I took it the way you did. I took it horribly. It would spin me out because I was loud and proud about all of my desires and my dreams. I told everybody the shows I would be on. I told everybody all the awards I would win. And I still believed these things. And then when I would go back, I just didn't believe them as much then. So it would shake me to my core. And now, please try, you know, like I've adapted myself to looking at that and saying, oh, so if this makes me uncomfortable, there's more room here for me to get comfortable and like know myself better and to like really double down on these dreams. But if it doesn't bother me, but it clearly bothers them, why am I holding space for them being bothered when they need to go do that work that they're capable of doing on their own?
Right. But it's really hard to get to that place, right? Where like,
yeah.
oh, clearly this person has work to do. I'm going to let them do that. You have to have a lot of grace for people to kind of understand this person's at a different level and therefore needs to go do their own work and has nothing to do with me, actually.
Exactly. Because I want to say, you go do that work. I want to inspire you to do that work because there's evidence here that I'm sitting here and I'm not bothered. But if you are, then there's something there for you. So I hope that you feel empowered by me saying, that's a you issue. I hope you feel empowered to say, oh yeah, it is mine and I'm actually in control of it. But you being able to do that at 18 to 22 is just amazing.
I will say it wasn't like I was sitting there like, wow, like you really need to go to therapy, like go figure out your stuff. But I was just so, it came more from a place of like, I was confident that while I was here, it felt so good to be this new thing that I was like, you can't take that away from me, no matter what you say. And I actually love being a vegetarian. This is a stupid example. This was such a big one for people. I don't know that like I came back one year and I was a vegetarian. And I've been a vegetarian for 7 years. But that was kind of like, oh, the American ideas are like you're like changing over there. You're like, you know, now whatever. And I was like, yeah, that actually feels really good for my body. And I'm doing it for multiple reasons too. And the environment and all of that. And like, you can't take that away from me just because you're making fun of me that this is just a phase and all.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to, you know, so I wasn't kind of sitting there being like, hey, you guys, maybe you should really reflect on why you're telling me these things. But I was just more like, it feels good to me. And if I'm not feeling good right now, sitting here talking to you, then maybe next time that won't happen. I won't be sitting here talking to you.
If I were to synthesize and say, you knowing something is enough evidence for you to believe it, that's special.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way you just said that.
I'm glad.
I like the way you just said that. Yeah. And I think it's a constant thing, right? It's not just like a one-time thing or like, oh, yep. And then I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. It's constantly, because you kind of unlock levels at every point in your life, hopefully. And so I think that's a constant thing to like know something deeply and therefore nothing can take that from you. But yeah, that is very special. And that is something that I feel like I've been working on without like actively working on it, without like me being like, I'm working on this, but more of like just becoming more confident in who I am and more and more comfortable with who I am and why I am the way I am.
Which is what it means to be an actor, because no matter how much learning you do in a traditional education system or in a conservatory or just even on your feet on a set, acting is about learning who you are.
Yeah.
It is about further identifying yourself and what parts of you are there. I think that's why actors can connect to other people so well, is because we just practice perspectives of other people constantly. We take what works for us and continue it. Like we constantly have new thoughts because we're putting ourselves in other mindsets.
Yeah.
And yeah, wait, go. What that?
No,
yeah.
just I like the way you said. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you and I first met for coffee. For context for listeners, we met at a theater gala and then just became friends. But when we met, that was something I thought about a lot, because I was like, oh, you, like me, can wear all these different hats because you're used to wearing different hats. Like perspective is such a malleable tool, and people always want to know what your perspective is. And I'm always curious about, well, what's another possible perspective? What's the perspective? Like what else is there just besides one? It's not one dimensional, it's three dimensional like we all are.
Yes. Yes. I think I was listening to this like podcast of you talking about how it's like valuable to you to see from like different perspectives and different vantage points and kind of, and I think being a multi-hyphenate allows you to do exactly that. And as I said, like, I feel like being a producer allowed me to be a better actor. And, you know, when you're on a producing side and you're like, oh my God, these actors, like, I just do your job. And then, you know, on the acting side, I'm like, I'm completely shifting my needs and all of that. And every little thing I do teaches me more about all the other facets of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of had this realization a few years ago, and I was like, wow, like, I'm becoming a better, like, artist by doing all these things. And I'm curious what the next step with that is. Like I was saying earlier, of like the levels to unlock, like there's so much more there I can tell. I'm like so excited about it.
Are you aware of what unlocks it for you?
I think sometimes there are moments in which I'm like, oh, it's happening right now. It's like, this is next level. I'm learning something about myself. I'm like able to be aware of it. Other times it only happens if I'm going through a time because of a project or something. And then in that moment, all I can do is only think about that project and just give all my energy to that project. I don't have any mental bandwidth to think about other things. So I reflect at the end and I'm like, oh, that happened. And I think that both are obviously super valuable. I think to push myself to reflect back on projects is super important. It's something like a new habit that I've been trying to implement, because I feel like a lot of times in the past I would do a project and then, okay, moving on to the next, and not really giving myself time to sit down and, okay, so what did you learn? What could have been better, kind of thing. Yeah.
Why do you think that reflection is so hard?
I think to look back and see, for example, what went wrong in a project also means looking at what you did. I think wrong is too strong of a word, but kind of like, what could you have done better? And that's a scary thing, especially after a big project when you're exhausted and you're like, I just finished this thing that I spent so many months of my life on. I just want to be done with it. I don't want to look back and be like, where could I have been better? It's hard work, and it's like on top of all the work you're already putting into that project.
Yeah.
And I find that it's always more rewarding when I do it, but I need to push myself to do it. And it's hard to admit that you were wrong, or it's hard to admit that, yep, I could have communicated that better, or I should have sent that sooner, or I should have type of thing. And I think there is a lot of, sometimes in like big projects that include a lot of people, there's not one person who's like, yep, this person was clearly the guilty one in this situation. It's like a bit of, everyone could have been.
It's a group
better.
activity.
It's a group activity.
Yeah.
But it's to take that part of the blame that's yours is into constantly, because when you do growth and you're like, that's great, but now I'm so tired of doing all that growth. And then this kind of job pushing you to keep doing that work. And you're like, please, sometimes I don't want to grow. I just want to like be at home.
Yeah.
And not do that. And like how privileged I am to be able to say that like I constantly have opportunities to grow. And I know that that's not true for everyone, and that giving myself contexts over and over and over to be able to reflect and grow, that's very lucky. And when it feels hard to reflect, I always kind of remind myself of like, no, but this is a great opportunity. Take it. Right?
So if you slow that process down a little bit, what for you is the indicator that something has growth opportunity in it for you?
I think a few things. I think if it challenges me, if I find it scary, that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
If I find it scary, I'm like, oh, I need to do this now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I need to. My body has just informed me that I need to. That's a big one where I try to, not unreasonably. If I'm like, okay, if I'm too scared to do, I don't know, whatever, but it feels like unreasonable, or it feels like, okay, I would do that thing, but then it kind of would fall flat, then I'm not going to do it. For example, something like stand-up. Stand-up is such a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I can tell I'd be horrified of doing stand-up. And it's not something that I think that if I did, I would, of course, learn a lot. But it's not necessarily the direction that I want to take my career in. Okay. Therefore, I'm not going to seek that out unnecessarily just because I'm scared of doing it. Yeah. And maybe that will change in time. But as of right now, I don't think I'm going to do stand-up just because I'm scared of doing stand-up. But I think there's other things like taking on a bigger project in one facet, like producing something of a scale that I've not produced before. That is something that like, oh, this budget is big. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to do it. It's so scary, but I'm going to do it. Also, I think when I feel like, oh, I've done this before, and opening myself up to new ways of collaborating from other people. Yeah. Where like, that's also really humbling, where like you've done something the same way multiple times. And you're like, oh, I got this. And then someone else comes in and is like, actually, can I show you a new way? But kind of keeping myself open to that.
Yeah.
That's also a great opportunity for me. And it takes a while to kind of be like, okay, you can show me. You can show me. And a lot of times it ends up being great. But staying humble and being like, just because you did it this way 10,000 times and it worked, that doesn't mean that for this particular project, it can be better.
I also think that the best idea comes between two brains. And like, you're going to have a great idea, I'm going to have a great idea, but the best idea for you and I working together is between the two of us, because it's a nuanced idea that has both of us in it. I think it's so interesting to think, because I'm an image-based person, but when you talk about the fear that exists there, I think of like directions, and I think of fear as the container. And so either you push it down to be like, I'm not dealing with that, or you open up the top of the container and you're like, okay, I'm going to deal with it. Like, whatever comes out of this container, I'm just going to figure it out, because you can either go up or you can go down. And whenever anything comes up, I'm like, oh, it's because it wants to go up and out and become this bigger thing, not because it wants to stay down there. So like, is there a little bit of resistance when you're like, I have an idea? Sure, sometimes, especially if it's like, if I'm executive producing something and you're like, can I? And I'm like, yeah,
Go for it.
go for it.
Go for it.
I twitch.
I'm
like, no, I genuinely want to. But it's like, if there's ever a little bit of like pushback, I'm like, ooh, that's like some resistance, which means that I either get to push harder or, and also like at the end of the day, like you said, like ego's out the window. Like, what is there to lose? It's a bad idea and we scrap it and start over again, or a better idea arises, or it's the same caliber as the former one. Like, what is the worst that could happen?
Right.
If you just try something a different way.
Yeah.
Not much.
No. When is the last time you feel like you felt that?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I've been learning so much with my Me3 space. Like, my Me3 space is essentially my perspective toolbox that I have developed into digital products for people. And it's like exploring my method of acting with me, but it's so you can just meet yourself. It's so you can use your self-awareness as a tool. But the learning curve has been so real. Because I came in, I was like, I want 3 levels, each level different. They all have these different nuances, and it just is too much. And I hired a fabulous tech assistant that I work with, and she has just streamlined so much of it to be like, you're doing a lot. And I know that you're trying to satiate everybody, but it's okay if you just talk to one person first. And I was like, no, because this is going to be a multi-million-dollar company within a year, and all these other things. And, you know, I do everything like I entered acting, which is, this is going to be the best. Everyone's going to be blown out of the water. Let's go. And so I think that slowing down, and it's what you talked about at the very beginning, it's like allowing myself space to just be quiet, or space to say, I do want to enjoy today with my partner. I want to go on a walk all day. And I'm going to really enjoy at the end of the day when I'm wowed by how fun that was. You know, just to like invite that excitement again into my life in organic ways. Because I, like you, I believe my own evidence. I don't believe other people's evidence. You tell me that the stove is hot and not touch it, I'm still going to touch the stove. And I'm like, hey, that's hot. And, and I'm not
I have avoided that, yes. But listen.
But I needed to know it for myself.
Yeah.
I needed to know. And you know what? I'm sure, you know, and it's also fun because when everyone has knowledge on, like, if we all use this book, we all have knowledge on this book, but the knowledge together is better than the one singular lane of knowledge, I think.
Absolutely. Like, multiple brains are smarter than one.
Yeah. And so I just think that, especially with Me3, it's all my own intellectual property. And so there was probably one of the biggest ego checks there, because I'm like, no, this is my big, brilliant idea. I'm like, great. Make your big, brilliant idea digestible and sellable, because that's ultimately what it is. And I'm like, oh.
But I think, you know, you kind of need that. Like, I think I needed in my life, just like me coming and being like, guys, sit down. I'm about to perform. Just letting you know, you are going to be wowed. And kind of like you were saying, you know, you coming in and being like, this is going to be a multi-million-dollar idea within a year, right? Like, kind of thing. And then to allow yourself time to be humbled.
Yes.
But I do think that, like, that initial confidence, I like to think that it's also like, I know what I want, and life has always shown me that, okay, you're going to get a different version of this, and you're going to learn so much in the process. But I do kind of come in like, oh, I just really want this, and this is me letting that show that I really want this.
And I think it's using that perspective as the energy. And you're like, no. Like, this dream sustains me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to discover along the way what my journey looks like.
Yes.
And I'm going to humble myself along the way because that's more information for me, like, nom. And like along the way, I'm literally laughing at myself. And I'm like on a team meeting. And I'm like, hey, so you remember when I said that the 6-month mark, it'd be worth $1 million? We're at 6 months. Let's keep going. Like,
absolutely. Like the being able to laugh at yourself. I laugh at myself all the time. I feel like from like last year when I was like, guys, or like, you know, just an email that I sent, I was like, let's delete this. And, or I think I told you this, like when we got coffee, that this sort of idea that like, oh yeah, I know what's best. And that's it. That me calling my therapist on our initial kind of like call to see if we're a good fit for each other. And he was like, okay, so what do you want to work on? Whatever. And I was like, well, this. But, you know, just letting you know that there's nothing in my childhood that you need to look at. We don't need to go there. Like, I can just tell you now that like my childhood is perfect. And so we don't need to look at that. We don't, you know. And so my therapist has been like, okay, sounds good. And then, you know, like within 6 months, I was like, and, you know, he brought it up. He, of course, remembered it, you know, and we'd be like, yep, so that was not true. And I love the confidence. Me having never been to therapy, calling this therapist, being like, I know where you need to look and where you don't need to look. I can tell you now. So therefore, you know, and it just is so funny because I feel like I've definitely done that before in other capacities and then been like, you know, a 6-month version after that was like, oh, so let's forget about that. Let's move on. Yeah.
Let's not repeat that. P.S. Doctor, you cannot, but you know, patient doctor confidentiality, you actually can't tell anyone.
Yes.
But I think that too, because I can laugh at it so much, it's like what attracts me to people like you, where I'm like, I can see it. And like, by no means should that ever be dulled. That is something I will get in a fight over for a friend. I'm like, do not touch her Jalulu. How dare you? That is for her to curate, not you. Because it's like this beautiful childhood thing. Like with my nieces or my nephew, it's like they believe this one thing, that's happening.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. You know, my nephew wants to get on the ground and talk about the bugs' friends and figure out what their names are and stuff. We are doing that. Yeah. It doesn't matter that we needed to leave 5 minutes ago. We are laying on the ground and we are talking to the bugs. Like, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like that thing when someone's like, oh, like, I love a confident 18-year-old who's like, I'm going to be the best in my class. I'm like, I hope you are. I genuinely hope you are. I hope you are right. On the off chance you're not, I hope you are receptive to not being right.
Absolutely. I think it was so funny that you say that because the other day I was teaching a workshop to 16, 17-year-olds, Romanians who are here in New York for just like a vacation sort of thing. But they're all in an acting school back home. And so they want to pursue acting. And so I was invited to teach them a workshop. And then at the end, there was like a Q&A kind of thing. And they all want to, or not all, but most of them want to move here and go to a good university here and then pursue acting. So I was like, okay, let's talk about it. And so a lot of them were like, well, right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to get this visa and then I'm going to work on this and then I'm going to get my equity card. And then them being 16 and having not even gone to college, they were like, I'm going to get my equity card and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. What do you think? Do you think an agent would rather blah, blah? And I was like, you're 75 steps ahead. It's fine. And, you know, kind of catching myself being like, I really hope that happens for you. I really hope it's easy. And it's like, you know, for me, all these things were hard. And I shared with them all the ways in which they were. And I've learned so much along the way. But I genuinely hope that for you, it's like this and like this and like this and like this. And you're able to do all these things and get your equity card within a year. And then do this and get an agent right away. And then have them cast you and everything and whatever. But I like really respected that. They planned it all out. And they had this and all these things that like most of them they can't just be your decisions. Like you don't just choose to do something and therefore it happens. Other factors and other entities are involved. You can't, for the most part, just choose to do something and then do it. Other people have to be involved. And so I love the little, this is the plan. And I was like, yes, I was there. I was there. I was there. And I love it and give it to me. And I hope it happens.
I hope it happens. And what I love is when I encounter that, I'm always like, okay, can you explain to me how? And not in a condescending way, but no, literally, let's map out how that's actually going to happen. And then I need you to do everything you can within you to believe that.
Yeah.
And I think that beautiful resilience comes from having this trait as a child, where things like that did happen. Like, I had a diabolical plan in middle school.
Oh my God, it's going to be so good.
I got a mailer in the mail for the Miss Teen US pageant. I did not want to be a pageant person, but when I read the mailer, the winning prize for Miss Photogenic LA was a 4-year scholarship to an acting school. So in middle school, I'm like, this is great. I was like, my parents know that I'm going to be an actor, but they don't want me to be an actor now because they want me to go to school to get a different degree. They said I have to get my degree before I become an actor. You know what? This will bypass all of it. Amazing. So I go to them and I'm like, I want to be a pageant queen. And they were like, what? And I was like, here's the mailer. I want to do it. And my mom and my dad have admitted to me since, they were like, this is ridiculous. And my mom was like, it's okay. She's going to hate it and she will learn herself that she hates it. So let her do it. She's going to hate it. It's fine. Fast forward to the competition of 300 people in Los Angeles doing this competition. And who wins Miss Photogenic LA? Me.
Stop it. Stop it.
My parents sat through a 6-hour-long pageant. And they said it was when they sat down where they were like, okay, I guess we're really doing this. And they looked through the pamphlet, and my dad holds the pamphlet up to my mom and goes, do you know what Miss Photogenic LA wins? And my mom was like, oh my God, she got us. And then I actually won it.
I was not ready for that.
When things happen like that when you're younger, they are these experiences that mean so much to us. Because
and again, proof. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My delusion can happen. Can. Doesn't mean it will. You know, because then I got to the school and the joke was on me because it was called John Casablanca. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
It was like notoriously the biggest joke, like industry school, acting, modeling school that like 1,000% went under, went bankrupt, like was not like super corrupt, like joke was on me, right? But like, and that's okay. Like that is not the launching off point because anyways, but because that story happened, I got that extra little like, it's almost like you're playing Mario Kart and you get like a mushroom or something. Like, you know, you're like, yay. And I'm like, see, I'm like, look it, it's working, it's happening. And like, I tell myself all the time, my mantra is it's working. It's working. Do I know how? No. But is it working? Absolutely.
Wow. That's incredible. What a story.
Right? And also like the last thing anyone would expect me to say too. Yeah. And my mom and my dad were like, my mom has this funny little story where she goes in the back, everyone has their mom back there and they're like doing their makeup and like practicing their walk and all this stuff. Right. And I was in the corner with a book and my mom was like, should I be doing something? And I'm like, I don't know. Everyone's like doing their hair, I think. And she was like, okay. And I said, you know what? I got it. And she said, I took 2 bobby pins and went boop, boop.
Yeah, you did.
And left that. And she was like, oh, all right. And I just went back to my book. Like, I think that there has to be, you know, like you hear these stories of these kids being like, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm like, great, cool. Why? How?
Why is a big one.
Why is a really big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is your why of the dreams that you're chasing?
I started acting when I was really young, when I was 6. And at first, you know, after I did a few, my parents sent me like ballet and then like dance and whatever. And I was like, no. And then I went to acting school and I was like, yes, this is it. And the first time I did a show, once again, I was like, this is it. This is absolutely it for me. Being on stage felt really good. And then I think the years that followed after I was 6, all through like middle school, I was like, well, I'm going to be an actor because I want to be famous. Duh. And then it wasn't until high school that I was like, wait, there's more to it than that. Mm-hmm. At no point since I was 6 did I want to be anything else besides an actor. I could not be swayed to do anything else. Never had, you know, apart from like really small moments of doubt, of course.
Yeah.
I was never like, maybe this is not the right.
No. 100% track mind. Yeah.
And as I started having more conscious thoughts and kind of being like, oh, I can think. I was like, there's something in there. There's something that's pulling me towards it. And it's beyond just like wanting to be famous, which is Whitney Newland, like, you know,
our girl.
Like
I
literally,
love her.
And I would lie to say, okay, yeah, no, fame isn't for me. For sure.
Yeah.
You know, but there was more to it than that too, where I was like, I'm actually enjoying telling stories. I'm actually enjoying looking at the character and figuring out all these things, going in there and understanding the story and how does my character play a role in this story.
Yeah.
And then being surrounded more and more by people who are doing it professionally and who are really pushing me. Because when I was a kid, I was like, I'm just going to say the line really well and just like project, and it's going to be great. And kind of understanding like, oh, there's like,
Yeah, we love her.
yeah, you know, but like acting is actually very different than that. And being surrounded by all these people who are like, I think you do have it. Now go deeper. Now go deeper. Now go deeper. And going deeper and realizing that I still love it and that I still want to do it. And the more I was there, the more I was like, yeah, more. And so it never left me. And I think I went through phases of why do I want to be an actor? Why do I need it so badly? And I think I went through phases of being like, well, because of this, or because of this, or because of this. And there was a phase in which I was like, I just need to. I just simply need to. There was this quote, I'm so ashamed, I can't remember who it was that said it, but like, if you can do anything else, do that. If you can only do act, just you have to do acting, right? And so I was like, okay, can I do anything? No. Okay. Great, we settled that, moving on. And nothing else would really attract me the way acting did. And then getting more proof along the way that I am on the right path and that my acceptance to NYU was a big step, was that like sort of things happening. That was such a long shot, not because I don't quite know how to explain how different Romania as a world is than here and how far physically these two places are, but also just in all other ways. When I knew I wanted to apply to NYU, I had never visited the US, not once. But I knew it in my heart. I was like, NYU is for me.
Yeah.
And so then when I got in, and that felt like, whoa, it was your moment of like winning, right? I was like, wow, this actually happened. And I was like, okay, proof. And there were, you know, in high school, some competitions and stuff, and I won some awards, but it was just like every piece of evidence that collected along the way. And that really told me, this is the right path for you. This is the right path for you. This is the right path for you. And never ceasing to feel like a burden, never ceasing to, even when it was hard, never feeling like the acting itself is the problem. It's hard to get to maybe certain places, but when I'm there, the acting is never the problem. The acting never feels like a burden. And then all those working together to tell me, you need to be this, you need to do this. The idea that the more I live and the more causes I care about, or the more things that I'm like interested in and issues that I want to talk about to people, even more I was like, okay, this is the way to do it. This is the way to communicate. This is how I tell these stories. So everything pointing to the fact that I need to be doing this. I think that's, my why.
I really love that. I want to backtrack a little bit and incorporate what you just said by connecting two parts. One, the part of you that's like, no, I have to do this. There is nothing else I want to do. That in and of itself is enough of a reason. But then when you couple it into a collaborative, creative field like ours, which can't happen via one person, it has to happen between creative collaboration between many people. You have to do this, but you also want to be famous. So what does being famous mean for the rest of the world? Because what that means is like to be on view by other people, to be seen by other people. So if you have to do this and people see you, what do they get?
I think there's a lot of responsibility that comes with this job. I don't always know that people realize that or care that that's true. I take this very seriously and I care a lot about the message I send. And I want everything I do to align with what I believe in. What people get on the other side is hopefully, you can't control what people get from your art. I had to learn that lesson kind of early, where I was like, no, but I'm sending this one message. Why are people not talking about this thing that I wanted to, incorporate? And kind of be like, well, you can't tell people, is this what you got from it? Okay, did you get this from it? You can go to them at the end of the show and be like, was that clear? Was that message that I was trying to send clear?
Because that's you checking your boxes.
Exactly. And I can't control what I do, but at least at the end of the day, I do want to be happy. Someone asked me the other day what like happiness means to me. And honestly, the first thing I could think of was being able to go to bed at night knowing that I live truthfully to myself and that I don't do things to compromise myself, and that everything I do at my job, in my life, whatever, aligns with what I believe in deeply. And so that for me is really important, that fulfillment. And when that stops being the case, I hope that I'll be able to kind of say, okay, maybe I should reconsider what I'm doing, or I should reconsider if I want to keep doing this or whatever. That moment has not come yet. It might, I don't know, it might not. But I think it's really important for me that I do things that I believe in, and that I think early on, speaking to what we were talking about earlier of all these like hats, I think also part of me accepting that I want to wear multiple hats was that as an actor, you have less agency over the material that you're working with, and wanting that to not be the case. I wanted to have more agency. And you have agency in that you can always say no to the things that you feel. And I have said no to things I was like, no, this is insulting. This is offensive. This is not what a Romanian woman would speak like, or whatever I get cast for, right? And so I have said no, and to continue to be able to say no, in that case, you do have agency. But if you want to really control the narrative that you're saying, right, you need to take on all these other things. And so this is all to say that it's really important for me to show up authentically, and to, if I can't control what people take from it, to at least know that I did my job to represent myself in the best way possible, and to tell the stories that I'm in a good position to tell.
If you were to describe the person that you would be inspiring, who would it be? What would they be like?
Oh, this is a great question. Definitely women. Like, I was told so many times along the way that maybe I should go this other route, or maybe I should, not like acting wise, but more like just in terms of, I'm thinking of my visas, speaking specifically of like immigrants, that like, oh, maybe you should just go get a green card and then like talk to me about it after. It's like, well, they don't sell them at CVS.
Oh, they don't?
They don't. Yeah.
Oh,
I checked.
shit.
Yeah.
I thought they were behind the counter.
Yeah,
up.
No. Yeah. So weird. And so, when I get that, I'm like, okay, cool. I don't. And so instead of letting that be like, well, then I can't do anything, and being like, okay, this person is not giving me this opportunity. I'm going to go, clearly cannot get a green card right now, but I still have a work permit and a work visa, and I'm going to go do this regardless of this person telling me I can't do it. And I hope that that's inspiring to other immigrants as well.
Yeah. It sounds like, and maybe I'm projecting, because it's how I feel about my desire for it too, is to lend current you now to past versions of yourself. It's to alleviate these lessons where it's like, no, I learned this. The knowledge I have is super valuable, super applicable, and I did all this work so you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's being a solution. It's being people's answer that they're seeking. Because I feel like I grew up just having so many questions and no one had the answers. And that's like my thing now is like, no, find the creative solutions. Mm-hmm. The only answer is not have a green card. There are other ways around that. Empower other people to think malleably, like to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
But also, and maybe this is similar to you too, like I just want to be a good influence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I've had, and you'd be surprised, like I've had, or maybe you wouldn't, but I've had other people say when I got my visa, so I have a visa of extraordinary ability in the arts. And in order to get my visa, you have to prove that you have extraordinary ability in the arts. And how do you prove that? Well, my initial application case was 900 pages of me listing awards, achievements, press, playbills, box office receipts, everything that I've had in 900 pages of proof that I am of extraordinary ability. It's a very niche visa. Not a lot of people get it every year. It's like one of the visas that are like, a lot of people just have never heard of it. And so after I got this visa, which felt like an achievement in itself, even though it was just like, okay, now you can work. It wasn't like you've done all this work, therefore now you're going to be whatever. It's like now you can start at the place that everyone else was already at, who had like a work permit, who had like a citizenship or whatever. And I've had people say, oh, like other immigrants with my visa, I've had them say like, oh, you got this visa. Well, congrats, because you can't really, like, everyone's going to ask you for a green card, so you're not going to be able to do anything on it. I was like, that's your advice to me? That's your, like, that's what you're going to say to me? Cool. And so I went ahead and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I did all these things. But I still think back on like people who said that. I'm like, how was that? I understand you want me to not get my hopes up or whatever, if that can come from a good place of like, I'm trying to give them a benefit of the doubt that they were just trying to protect, I don't know. But to hear that is like, that's what you want other people to get from, like, people in your situation, I promised myself, I was like, I would never do that to another immigrant. I will be very honest about all the struggles that I've had to go through. Even with those kids the other day, I was like, it is going to be hard, and here's all the ways in which. But I would never tell you, don't do it. Like, don't apply, because you're not going to be able to do this and that anyway, or you need this and that anyway. I'm like, that's your limiting belief, and that's what you need to deal with, right? Speaking of being able to see that in other people. And I will always, if another immigrant comes to me and is like, hey, I want to get this visa, how do I do it? I'll always tell them, I'm like, here's my true experience with that. I'll always encourage them to do it. And then if at the end of that conversation, they feel like the disadvantages outweighed the advantages and they decide not to do it, then that's okay. But I would never tell another immigrant like, well, can't do anything with that. Better give up.
Why? Because one, how dare you? And two, you two-dimensional human.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up. But also, like, go heal yourself. And I'm so sorry that the world slighted you, but does that mean to slight others? Why is it what you receive, you have to give? Like, my mom always said growing up when I was babysitting, she's like, you always leave that house better than you found it. So was my job to do the dishes? No, but the kids were asleep for an hour and a half before mom and dad came home. So yeah, I'm going to do the dishes. Because that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I also know that it helps you. You're a parent of kids, and I'm a 16-year-old looking to make $15 an hour, at that time. And so it's like, you never ever want to leave any place the same way you found it, because then where's your impact?
And let's work together to make that not be the case, so that if our next generation of immigrants nobody has to tell them that. Let's change that. Yeah. Let's have more representation in these fields so that people can't avoid us anymore, can't not hire us anymore because of all these things.
Because we're talking about the reality that you are choosing to live in.
Yes.
And the reality that you want to live in.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is you only have jurisdiction in one and not the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been told to my face, like, call me when you get a green card. I understand where it's coming from. It's not completely unfounded, but it's like, if you choose to just shrug, then what? Where do you go from that?
Okay, sure, it's not unfounded, but it's not the answer every single time.
No, it's not.
And so I can't imagine. That's obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was really upset when I heard that. I was really upset. And I realize right now that I can make a choice of not going home and crying myself to sleep because of what this person said, but being like, you know what? If you didn't get a chance to do everything you want to do, I feel sorry for you. And I know that the system failed you. I know. But it's going to be different for me. Sorry. Like, I'm going to go actually do other things.
It's going to be different for me, so it can be different for other people.
Yeah. People who are not sitting here telling me like, right? Like,
yeah. I know that seat that you're sitting in. People are already sitting in that. So you're going to go occupy a different seat where that's not the narrative.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
We did this last time when we got coffee too. It's been an hour.
Oh my God.
I can't believe that it
I could like be here for like 4 more hours.
I know. I'm ready
Yeah.
for 5 hours. But where can people find you? How can people follow your work? How can people participate in your company?
So, a few ways. Find me and get in contact with me at www.marialuisamuller.com, my website. And then my theater company's name is Italia Theater. We actually have a show coming up in September, a 3-week run at the ART New York Jeffrey and Paula Gural Theater.
I will be there.
See this play called Blood Orange. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic new play. And italiatheater.com is where you can get tickets. Catch them early before August 11th for early bird tickets, a discount. And then honestly, like I have my Instagram is where I post so much stuff. So at Maria Müller is where I'll be.
And are there opportunities for people to get involved in your theater company?
Yeah. So on our website, there's so many ways to get involved. We have a lab for early stage writers to submit their plays. We have a collaboration form where you can submit what you want to be involved in and what capacity do you want to be involved in, and we take that in and put that in our database. We have 2 networking things. One is a monthly aperitivo, which is on Zoom. It's a monthly gathering in which we answer questions about visas, about producing, about stuff like that. Then we have an aperitivissimo, which is a networking event in person. There's so many ways. They're all listed on our website. So if people want to get involved, yeah.
Do it. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Yay.
Oh my God. Oh, that was a... And that's the latest. I'm honored to have been part of your thinking sphere today. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe on this platform or follow and participate on any of my social media platforms. If this practice intrigues you as much as it does me, then join us in the Me3 community, where we will work directly and you will curate a mindful method of thinking to define your own creative conscious. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Authenticated. I love that you're here.